Welcome to our YouTube channel Mathematical Pathshala. In the previous lecture, I gave you introduction to complex numbers. So in this lecture, we are going to discuss further properties of complex numbers. Suppose in the previous lecture, we discussed only the algebraic representation. But in this lecture, we are going to discuss polar representation, trigonometric representation, as well as exponential representation, which will help us to compute little things, but they may be efficient in your examination also. In the previous lecture, I gave you to compute this mod z1 plus z2 whole square plus mod z1 minus mod z2 whole square is equal to 2 times mod z1 square plus mod z2 square. So I asked you to prove this equality. See what is happening here. This part you can write in this manner: z1 plus z2, z1 plus z2 conjugate. But conjugate is, you can take separate out also. Either you add two complex number then take conjugate, or you take first conjugate, second conjugate, then add. You are going to get same quantity. Similarly, you can do here. This is a z1 minus z2, z1 bar minus z2 bar. Now if you compute this, you see this z1 bar will give you mod z1 square, z1 bar will give you mod z1 square. So you are going to get 2 times mod z1 square, z1 z2 bar, but here you will have z1 z2 bar with the negative, so they will get cancelled out. z2 z1 bar, z2 z1 bar with the negative, they will get cancelled out. z2 z2 bar, it will be positive, minus z2 bar, it will be mod z2 square with positive, so you will have 2 times mod z2 square. So this is a small thing. Now, so this is my Argand plane, this is my real axis, this is my imaginary axis. Suppose you are having a complex number z. So this distance, or this you can say this is x part, and this is your y part. So your complex is x plus iota y, and this is the distance of this complex number from origin. This you have computed. This is x square plus y square. Now let me give it another name. Set r is equal to mod z, which is x square plus y square, and I am assuming my r is non-zero, because if your r is 0, then I will give you a hint why you cannot define the trigonometric representation. So let us assume this is making angle theta, and this is measured from the positive real axis. Suppose your complex number is here, then again you have to measure from the positive real axis, because you have to fix one method, because these things are worldwide acceptable. So you have to fix each and everything so that there is no ambiguity between the different institutions and different countries. So we have fixed this theta is measured from the positive real axis. Now what is cos theta? Cos theta will be this cos theta will be I do not know the that name. Let me recall. I recall with this, because I am from Hindi medium, so I forgot that English one. So this L stand for the lumb, that is the normal or perpendicular. This K for the kern, this is the kern, or you can say this is the hypotenuse in your English language. Or in English, this is perpendicular, this is base, this is perpendicular, this is hypotenuse, this is hypotenuse, this is your base. So our cos theta will be b by h. What is b? Here b is base, so this is x by r. This is my cos theta. Similarly, you can write sin theta. Sin theta will be y by r. So this distance is y distance. Now you observe, if you choose r to be 0, you cannot define this cos theta. So that is why we need this a complex number to be a non-zero complex number. If you take a zero complex number, you cannot define this representation in a trigonometric form. So you have set your x is equal to r cos theta, y is equal to r sin theta. But before that, you need cos theta to be x by r. So if your r is 0, this cos theta will not be defined. So that is why we need this z to be a non-zero real number, this z to be a non-zero complex number. Then you set this x to be r cos theta, y to be r sin theta. Then your z is going to be r cos theta plus iota time r time iota sin theta, which is same as r time cos theta plus iota sin theta. And this theta is called the argument of the complex number z. This r is called the modulus of z, and this theta is called argument of z. And this argument is always measured from the positive real axis. Sometimes it is called amplitude also. But in our mathematics, we generally use the argument word. What can you say about this theta? Let me give you some example so that you feel more comfortable. So this is the trigonometric representation of complex numbers when your complex number is non-zero. Suppose I am having the simplest one, 1 plus iota. Your r will be square root of 2. And this r is always a positive one because this is a modulus, so there is no chance to take a negative of square root of 2. So I will always choose my positive square root for r. So this r is equal to square root of 2. What will be my theta? Can I take it pi by 4? Will it work? Or if it works, what about this? 2k pi. This will also work. So this theta is a multiple valued you are observing. What you can do this thing also. Your tan theta will be sin theta upon cos theta. So this will be y. Your theta will be tan inverse y. This you have done in your school time. You take theta is equal to tan inverse of y. So you can observe this theta will be pi by 4 plus 2k pi, where k is an integer. So if you give me this theta, I will give you more generalized theta. So this theta is called the argument, and this is a multiple valued. In a real analysis, I told you I have given you the definition of function. Function takes one value from domain and gives you the unique value in your codomain, but it is not giving you the unique value. So such type of functions are called multiple valued functions. Okay, but we want to make our situation easier, or you can say the more comfortable, so that if we are working with the argument, we should have one argument. If suppose I am giving you to do this thing, suppose you are 50 students in your class and I am saying you do this, second you do this, third you do this. I cannot check the work of everyone in my 1 hour period. I cannot do. So I have to give you a unique way so that you can do all that problem. So what I do, I define a new function. You see, I am just restricting this theta from minus pi to pi. This pi is open. You just observe this thing very carefully, and this is less than or equal to pi and bigger than minus pi. So I am just fixing my theta inside this. So in this domain, you will have a unique value. That is my claim, and you can easily verify. If I give you any value, you can always restrict your theta in between minus pi to pi, where pi I am having a strict bound, and such type of theta is called the principal value of the argument. principal argument or principal value of argument, and this is denoted by generally capital ARG at Z is theta. This is the principal value, and general argument is defined is denoted as argument of Z. This is small a. Now you can observe, if I take this function is a well defined function. This is a unique value, not multiple valued. This is a multiple valued. Okay, if you understand this part, let me give you some more observation. So this will work, you are taking your theta from minus pi. So this is your minus pi, so this is your theta, which is fixed between minus pi to pi. Now suppose you are having a complex number, say, okay, let me write directly, argument of iota. Can you give me argument of iota? Iota will be here, so your argument will be pi by 2, and this pi by 2 is in between this. Argument of any positive real number, say 1, this will be 0, or any positive real number, this will be 0. If I take negative real number, say argument of minus 2, it will be pi, because on the pi I can take the equality, at minus pi I cannot take the equality. Argument of 1 plus iota, okay, not 1 plus iota, let me take 1 minus iota. What will be the argument? If you go with the general method, this 1 minus iota will be located at this point, 1 minus iota. Can you compute this one? So what you do, you find the small, this argument, this you'll find like this, tan inverse y by x. So this is tan inverse minus 1, so it will be minus pi by 4. And you can easily observe this minus pi by 4 is inside this. This is bigger than, this is bigger than minus pi and less than pi. So this will be my principal argument for 1 minus iota. Now once you are having argument of z, then you try to go further. You try to analyze what is the argument of z1 into z2. You try to find that one also. So for that we need a polar representation and exponential representation. But before that, let me ask you one question. Suppose f is a function from complex to complex. I am sending f of z to argument of z. What is the domain for the function f on which this f is continuous? This you may get in your interview also. This is a very basic question. What is the argument of z? This is the value of your argument. This is the general argument which is restricted between minus pi to pi. So this is the value. Now, so this will take value in between minus pi to pi. That is clear to you? So it can take value from here to here. That is okay to you. Suppose you are here, then you can give me the argument easily. If you are here, you can give me argument easily. If you are here, you can give me argument easily. But suppose if you are at this line, you cannot give me argument easily. Why you cannot give me an argument easily? Suppose you are having at this point, say this is minus 1. And what is the definition of continuity? If you approach to minus 1, I have not taught you the complex function, but you know the definition of continuity. This is minus 1 point. If you are approaching from this side, then you are going to achieve minus pi. And if you are approaching from this side, you will get minus pi value. So this function is discontinuous on this line that you are observing. So the domain of definition on which this function is continuous will be, okay, let me define S is equal to C minus X comma Y. This is I am writing in, okay, let me write in this way. Z is equal to X plus iota Y such that if X is negative, then it is having a problem. So x is negative and y is 0. If you remove this part, then your argument function is continuous. And you cannot take 0 because on 0 we do not talk about the argument. So you can treat your domain is already C star. C star, that means the group of all units of complex field, or you can treat this as a C minus 0, because in C every non-zero complex number is a unit if you have studied group theory and ring theory part. So you cannot talk about the 0 point. 0 I have not included because argument of Z is defined only when your complex number is non-zero. If it is 0, we cannot define. So if this on this side my function is continuous. Now let me ask you one more question. Let fx be a polynomial, that is, it is a member of Rx, that is, it is a polynomial of certain degree and the coefficients are coming from R. Degree of f is at least 1, then if z belongs to complex number, be a root of fx, this implies z bar is also a root of fx. That means if you are having a real polynomial, then the root of polynomial or the complex roots of polynomial occur in pair. If z is a root, then z bar is also a root. But if your polynomial is not inside Rx, then this is not true in general. Why it is not true in general? See, if I define this polynomial z minus iota, this is a complex polynomial. Degree of this polynomial is 1. It has only one root, that is z is equal to iota. So this polynomial has only root iota, but if you take z bar, which will be minus iota is not root. So this is possible only when you are in a real field. Now let us see, the proof is very easy. What is given to us? Suppose fx is a polynomial, so assume it to be a0 plus a1x, a2x square plus an x power n. This is a polynomial defined on Rx. That means your each coefficient is coming from R. F of z is 0, a0 plus a1z, because we have given this z as a root, plus an z power n. This is a root. Now take conjugate on both sides. F of z bar, will it be f of z bar? Because if you take conjugate on this 0, the conjugate of 0 will be 0. If I show that f of z whole bar is same as f of z bar, then I am done. See how? F of whole z bar will be a0 plus a1z plus an z power n whole conjugate. Conjugate I can take separate out, so it will be a1 bar, a0 bar plus a1 bar z bar plus a2 bar z2 square bar plus up to an bar z power n bar. This I can do. Now my coefficients are coming from real field. So a0 bar will be same as a0. So it will be a0 plus a1 z bar plus a2 z square bar plus an z bar power n. You can also do this z bar square, because either you write z bar whole square or z square bar, it is going to be same. So that you can do, because we know that mod z1 z2 bar is same as z1 bar z2 bar. So this is nothing but f of z bar, and this is 0 we have fixed. That means if z is a root, then z bar is also a root. So complex roots for a real polynomial of degree at least 1 occur in a pair. If z is a root, then z bar is also a root. And in complex integration part, we will also prove that if you are having a polynomial of degree n, then it has exactly n complex roots, which is known as the fundamental theorem of algebra. Now, if z is non-zero, then this x plus iota y can also be viewed as r cos theta plus iota sine theta. Now we know that e power iota theta, if I set this to be a cos theta plus iota sine theta. If I set this, then what I am going to get? This z is equal to r e power iota theta, where theta is an argument of z and this r is the modulus of complex number z. So this is exponential representation and this representation is very powerful. We will observe soon why it is very powerful. So this is my exponential representation. Now suppose z1 is r1 e power iota theta 1. It is understood that whenever I am defining a polar representation or a trigonometric representation or exponential representation, it is understood that my complex number is non-zero. Otherwise, I cannot talk about. Say z2 is r2 e power iota theta 2. What about this z1 z2? Can I say directly this is r1 r2 e power iota theta 1 plus theta 2? Can I say this? See, this is a complex exponential. You cannot give me the guarantee that it is always true, because in real exponential function you know that, but in complex number you cannot say always. If you can say, then give me a proof. Okay, suppose z1 z2 I can take in this manner: r1 cos theta 1 plus iota sin theta 1, r2 cos theta 2 plus iota sin theta 2. Now let us observe, this is r1 r2 I can take outside, cos theta 1 cos theta 2, and other real part will be iota square, that will be minus 1 sin theta 1 sin theta 2. So it is going to be cos formula of theta 1 plus theta 2 in real. Now see the observe the imaginary part. Iota times iota will come with sin theta 1 cos theta 2 and plus cos theta 1 sin theta 2. So that is going to be a sin theta 1 plus sin theta 2. And we know that if iota theta is this, then this will be e power iota theta 1 plus theta 2. Cos of theta 1 plus, not this, e power iota times theta 1 plus theta 2. So this is my z1 times z2. And by using this, you can say your De Moivre theorem is proved. Why you can say? Suppose z is equal to r e power iota theta, then what will be your z square? According to this will be r square cos 2 theta, not this. Okay, this will be e power 2 iota theta. That is nothing but you can say r square cos 2 theta plus I sin 2 theta. So you have proved for it too. And this is your De Moivre theorem, you can say. Z power n will be r power n cos n theta plus iota sin n theta whenever n belongs to natural number. This I can say because you have proved for it too. This r square e power 2 iota theta means r square cos 2 theta plus iota sin 2 theta. So you use this n number of times by using the mathematical induction, then it will be z power n will be r power n cos n theta plus iota sin n theta. So this I proved for n is equal to natural number. Can you prove for z or for the negative integers? See, if you choose n to be 0, then it is obviously true. Z power 0 will be 1, so it is also going to be 1. That you can verify. So you prove for negative integer, then you can say this is true for every n belongs to integer. So this is your De Moivre's theorem. For negative integers, what you do, if your n is from negative integer, you just set n to be minus m, then your m will be a positive integer. Then you use the same formula. Or let me give you another way. Suppose your z is r e power iota theta 1, then what will be your 1 upon z? It will be 1 upon r e power minus iota theta 1. What will be your 1 upon z square? It will be 1 upon r square e power minus iota. Okay, let it be minus 2 iota theta. So you have observed your z power minus 2. Similarly, you can also observe for the negative integers. So this will give you z power n will be r power n e power iota n theta r power n cos n theta plus iota sine n theta. This is your de Moivre's theorem, which you have studied in your school time. Now, if you understand this part, let us observe the multiplication of two complex numbers on complex plane. Z1 times Z2. This we have computed. This is R1 R2 e power iota theta 1 plus theta 2. What is R1? R1 is modulus of Z1. R2 is modulus of Z2. Suppose this is your complex number Z1. Let this angle be theta with the positive x-axis, and this quantity is mod R1. Okay, let me take little small, because this is always positive, not negative. Say this is your Z2, this angle say theta 2, so and this modulus is R2. And what is your Z1 Z2? So your modulus of Z1 Z2 is same as R1 times R2. So you are predicting your modulus also. So say this is R1 times R2, this is Z1 Z2, and this angle is theta 1 plus theta 2. You can observe here, because if Z is equal to R e power iota theta, then theta is the argument. So you are having this. So by using this formula, you can directly say argument of Z1 Z2 is same as argument of Z1 plus argument of Z2, that you can say. Okay, this is for the argument function. Can I say for the principal argument? In general, argument of Z1 Z2 is not same as argument of Z1 plus argument of Z2. Can you construct some example without using your pen? Can you select your Z1 and Z2 in such a manner? Suppose I choose both negative numbers. Suppose my Z1 is minus negative real number. Z1 is minus 1, Z2 is minus 1. Then minus 1 into minus 1 will be plus 1, and the argument of a plus number will be 0. And here your argument will be pi, here your argument will be pi. So both will be 2 pi, and here you will have 0. So argument of minus 1 into minus 1 will be argument of 1, which is 0, but argument here you will have pi plus pi, which is 2 pi. So these two are not same. So for the principal argument, this equality is not true in general. So if you understand this part, what about argument of Z1 upon argument of Z2? Can you treat this as argument of Z1 into 1 upon Z2? Because this is well defined, because Z2 is non-zero. So this is argument of Z1 into argument of Z2, which is same as argument of Z1 plus argument of 1 upon Z2. But you observe, when you are having Z is equal to R e power iota theta, your Z power minus 1 will be r power minus 1 e power minus iota theta. So you are having this. So your theta will be minus here. So argument of 1 upon z2 will be minus time theta 2. So it is same as argument of z1 minus argument of z2, because argument of 1 upon z2 is same as minus time argument of z2. Here your argument is minus time theta, and minus time theta means minus time argument of z. So you can write for formula for this also. Now you understand the multiplication of two complex numbers. Let me give you one more thing. Suppose z is equal to r cos theta plus iota times r sin theta. Or for a particular case, suppose z is equal to 1 plus iota. Can you compute the power say 8? Can you compute this? If you are using 1 plus iota whole square whole power 4, then you can do that, I know that. But suppose this power somehow it is 1000 or maybe more bigger, I still believe that you can do in that manner, but that will take time. Suppose you are having a power 8, so what I will do, I will use the this is z power 8, so I am assuming my z is 1 plus iota. So can you write the polar representation and exponential representation? So this will be root 2 e power iota theta. Theta I am writing pi by 4. Now you do z power 8. So z power 8 will be root 2 power 8 into e power iota pi by 4 into 8. So this will be root 2 को अगर आप दो बार ओपन करोगे तो you will have 2 power 4. Okay, wait for 1 second. This is root 2 power 2 whole power 4. Okay, that was okay. So this is 2 power 4 into e power pi by 4 by 8, so it will be 2 pi I. Now you put your e power 2 pi I in your formula, that e power iota theta is same as cos theta plus iota sin theta. So e power 2 pi I is 1. So this value is going to be 2 power 4, that is 16. So this value is 16, if I have not done any calculation mistake. Now once you know that, you can do many things. Now this is a real number. So this technique is much efficient by using the general computation. So this is how you can compute the powers of complex numbers. You can also compute some other powers. Now let me give you another way. Suppose z is a non-zero complex number. I want to find the solution of this equation. See, this equation is a very powerful equation in everywhere. In real analysis, it is important. In modern algebra, it is important because of this equation, you get the criteria of reducibility and irreducibility and irreducible factors of x power n minus 1. So this is a very powerful tool. In complex analysis, I will tell you why it is important. In number theory, it is also very important, because of for solving this equation in number theory is very complicated. If you have studied number theory, then you are understanding. If you have not studied, no problem, you will study further. So suppose we want to find the solution of this equation. So let me observe. If z is non-zero, I can assume my z is r e power iota theta. I can do this. So my z power n will be r power n e power iota n theta, which is given as 1. Now this 1 can be viewed as 1 into e power 0 iota times 0. This I can view. So what you are getting, this is again a complex number, and there is a unique representation of complex numbers. if you add a 2k pi, then also you are going to get same value. Both are not different, both are same. So if you compare, this is a complex number, this is a complex number. If two complex numbers are same, then their modulus will be same and their this argument part will be same. So what you are going to get, r power n is 1 and e power iota n theta, or more generally you can say your n theta is going to be 2k pi. You can say this, or if you are not feeling good, you add 0. But 0 will not affect anything where k is an integer. So what about this r? If r power n is 1, can I directly say this will give me r is equal to 1? If r power n is equal to 1, then on the real axis it can have at most two solutions. What are those solutions? The solution will be r is equal to 1 or minus 1. If your n is even, then you will have two real solutions. If r is odd, then you will have only one real solution. You know the cyclotomic extension if you have studied ring theory, but not studied, do not worry. You can still think this r power n is equal to 1, give me only two solutions, r is equal to plus minus 1 on the real axis, because r is a non-zero number. So I cannot take the complex values of r. So r is a real number and non-zero real number. And also r is a modulus of z. So this cannot be negative. So r is equal to 1 is the only possibility. This you have also studied in your group theory part. You say this z is equal to r into e power iota theta is of finite order if and only if your r is 1 and theta is a rational multiple of 2 pi. And there also I have given you the argument why this r is 1. So this is the actual argument. And your n is 2k pi by theta. So what your your z will look like? Your z will look like 1, or I can say e power 2k pi by n into I, where your k is varying over integer. So these are the particular solutions of this. But we are interested to find the non-repeated solutions. If you give me a repeated solution, then that is not a good way. I have already told you the complex polynomial of degree n has exactly n complex roots, which I will prove, don't worry. But also you can feel we are having exactly n distinct values here. Why? If you choose k to be 0, 1, 2 up to n minus 1. If you choose k to be n, then your values will start repeating. Why? Suppose you are seeing z0, let me take it zk, z0 will be 1 because e power 0 will give us 1. Z1 will give us, if you choose k to be 1, then it will give us e power 2 pi by n into iota. If you take z2, you will get different value. So till k is equal to n minus 1, you will get different values. If you choose k to be n, then it will be 2 pi I, but 2 pi I will be 1, so this will start repeating. If you choose k to be n plus 1, then you will write k as n plus 1. So what you will have? E power iota times 2 times n plus 1 pi upon n. Then you can write in this manner, e 2 pi, this is 1 plus 1 by n, which is same as e power 2 pi I into e power 2 pi I by n. This is the one, but this 2 pi I by n, this you have already fixed. So you are having exactly n distinct values of z, on which out of which one is real and rest are complex valued. Now let me tell you why this is important equation. You understand this part. Fix your n to be 2 or n to be 1 and your z is equal to 1. Start drawing this. The z is equal to 1, that means it will be here. So this is a polygon for n is equal to 1. So this is a regular polygon for n is equal to 1. Choose n to be 2. What it will give? Z square is equal to 1. It will give you only two solutions because your z will be e power 2k pi I by n, but n is 2, so you choose n to be 2, so it will be e power 2 times k pi I by 2. Your k is varying over integer. बट अगर आप k को n-1 तक वेरी करोगे तभी आपके पास डिस्टिंक्ट वैल्यूज है, अदरवाइज आपके पास सेम वैल्यूज है. सो अगर आप k को 0 पुट करोगे तो यू विल गेट 1, k को 1 पुट करोगे तो यू विल गेट, k को 2 पुट करोगे, सॉरी 1 पुट करोगे तो यू विल हैव e power minus I pi, but e power minus I pi is -1, so you are having these two solutions. Let us draw this solution on this. This is for n is equal to 1. This is n is equal to this is 1, this is -1. Your n is equal to 2. So this you are getting a line and the distance between these two lines is 2. So this is a regular polygon for n is equal to 2. Now for n is equal to 3, you are having this z cube is equal to 1. So you know the roots of this equation. You say the omega and omega square. So there are three roots, 1, omega and omega square. But let me write the values of omega. This is same as z minus 1, 1 plus z square is equal to 0. Roots here is 1 and roots are here can be computed by z is equal to -1 plus minus b square, that is 1 minus 4 by 2, which will be 1 minus 1 plus minus iota root 3 by 2. Let us draw these roots on complex plane. See, this is 1 point, your -1 plus iota root 3 by 2. So both will be here because the real parts are negative. So say this is 1 minus 1. So one root will be here and another will be here, somewhere here. Now you find this distance, you find this distance, you find this distance. All the distance will be same. So this is a triangle or equilateral triangle. So this is a regular polygon of for n is equal to 3. And you can compute this distance. So this is for 3. Similarly, you observe for z power 4 is equal to 1. This equation has 4 solutions, 1 minus 1 iota minus iota. Then you draw this picture. Okay, I am drawing here. So this is 1, this is -1, this is iota, this is minus iota. So this is this will be a square. You can compute this distance will be same, this distance will be same, this distance will be same, this distance will be same. Now the structure is not good because of my drawing, but you observe the structure is symmetric. So that is why the root of this equation forms a regular polygon of n sides and all are equally spaced. That means the distance between 2 points are same. So those are equally spaced. So this is the main property of this. Now let me tell you one more thing. Let me give you one more way for computing the roots. For n is equal to 5, you can draw that it will be pentagon. Let omega n be a primitive root of a unit nth primitive root of unity. That means Wn power n is equal to 1 and Wn power n m is not equal to 1 for all m less than n. That is, this is the element of order n. If you are operating n times, you are getting 1. If you are operating less than n times, you are not getting 1. So this is the element of order n. So such element is called the nth primitive root of unity. So the solutions are 1 omega n square, omega n cube, omega n power n minus 1. These are n roots of this equation. Where you can treat this omega n as the simplest one, e power 2 pi I by n. This is the n order element. You can verify. The order of this element is n. So this you can always take. So this is another way for finding the roots of this equation z power n is equal to 1. And the roots are called the nth roots of unity. So you are seeing this I have done for only this. Can you find the solution for this? Can you give me the solution for this? If you are able to find this, then I will assume that you are understanding the topic a little bit. Because in complex, you can find every power. It is complex power, it is real power, you can compute. So try to compute this power, z power 2 by 3, solution of this equation. Try to compute. We will be discussing in the next lecture how to find the powers or the non-integers power of a complex numbers. So this we will discuss in our next lecture. I hope you understand every line. If you are not understanding, just try to observe and observe, because this is the only way for the learning. Thanks for watching this lecture.